Have you noticed that there's a lot of different narratives going on that they seem to hijack? One of them, with all the shootings that they're focusing on lately because of their latest supposed attempts to legislate violence. There's a lot of vilification going on of different groups, patriots, vets, even to a degree, Christian fundamentalists, and it's almost like lamestream media is trying to rewrite definition. Our education process, along with media, ends up helping to form public opinion, definitions, and the labels that we wind up using to communicate. But it seems like they're doing a lot lately in order to hijack, to twist and distort what these things really are. I mean, take for instance what prompted this piece that I'm doing now when I wrote it was how the military was doing some instruction at that point in time concerning, definitions of, potentially dangerous groups. And it's not bad enough we got, ADL coming out and SPLC with lists, and they're identifying supposedly extremist groups, and you know vets and patriots, extremists? No. People that are constitutionalists, extremists? No. But for whatever reason, this is what they seemingly want the mass public to believe. It's given the full picture with everything that's going on and the attempts to disarm certain weapons along with this other stuff. It doesn't bode well. Vets are typically people that have a desire to defend their country. Most vets, when they sign up for military service, do so for that specific reason. So why would it be deemed an extremist group if it's about defending the country and the people? Good question, huh? The only way these groups potentially become extremist groups is if, in my personal opinion, they wind up going against the status quo. And the status quo at this point in time is about government and extreme control of the people. And it's very evident through the recent different bills that have been passed, things like the Unpatriot Act and the NDAA and some things in that. And you're looking at legislation where they're trying to, using the guise of, protecting us to take away more of our freedoms and rights. It doesn't bode well. And the different groups they are talking about are the very groups that would stand against such things. So it makes sense as for why they're trying to hijack the dialogue and vilify these groups. But people really need to be aware of what's going on with this and how they're doing it. Okay? Because this is another type of conditioning and programming in order for people to be okay should it come to a time where these groups feel a need to push back more forcefully against government that is out of control. So, patriotism is defined as a love and devotion to a country or homeland for no other reason than being a resident there. Patriotism, however, has had different meanings over time, and its meaning is highly dependent upon context, geography, and philosophy. Patriot, by definition, is one who loves his or her country and supports its authority and interests. Patriotic, by definition, is inspired by patriotism or befitting or characteristic of a patriot. I am not anti-American. I'm simply fed up with our government's domestic and foreign policies that oppress any people or nation. I'm a patriot in the original sense of the term, not the hijacked narrative that exists today. Today, given some recent video from RT concerning the Army and their views of dissent they're now labeling as extremists, I felt it pertinent time to discuss certain terms with some very strong emotional connections for many. Words like patriotism, patriot, and patriotic stir some very strong emotional feelings, and mainstream media has orchestrated a very clear representation of what that should mean to all of us. As such, it elicits strong responses to anything going against societal views related to the terminology and controls the narratives associated with them. What seems most alarming is how, despite our education, most people forget the deeper connotations and examples as set by our own founding fathers during the birth of our nation in such debates. We live in a world where the birth of our nation is romanticized and it's turned into a hallmark moment. Many forget that there is nothing romantic nor pleasant about a situation where our founding fathers' very actions made them traitors, endangering their lives through the process. Where's the romance in death? How could anyone view death or the prospect of death from hanging or firing squad as warm and fuzzy? How can they forget these very tenets of what we as a society later defined as patriotism? Why is it patriotism to stand for what you believe in or changing a nation to more represent the people and free them, yet not patriotism when you stand against the direction present government takes that's harming those same people? Why is it patriotism to stand against tyranny from a king, yet not patriotism to stand against the tyranny of government and an emerging police state? Has society missed the fact that the elite and corporate-controlled media have stolen the real meaning and manipulated it towards their agenda? Have we as a society missed their twisted rewrite that now suggests things once patriotic are now unpatriotic? Have you ever noticed how it's not patriotic to support our nation, but unpatriotic to dissent against government? Since when did our government and nation become synonymous? Since when is patriotism about being careful or following the agenda of the elites or ruling classes? Isn't that what our forefathers stood against? Since when is patriotism about bowing to tyranny or a police force oppressing the people? Isn't that what the Redcoats did to our citizens and our forefathers stood against? Our forefathers didn't tolerate unwarranted search and seizure. They wrote about it within our Constitution to protect our personal rights. So why do we stand for it and allow it now through molestation from TSA and others? How has patriotism suddenly become about being good little boys and girls, going along with the status quo, when history quite clearly shows us that is not what patriotism was in our forefathers' days? How has patriotism become sticking our heads in the sand, ignoring what's going on around us or in our government, while our once great nation continues eroding into something none of us recognizes anymore? Since when was patriotism replaced with cowardice or fear to stand up for ourselves, apathy because there's nothing we can do about it, or laziness waiting for someone else to save us or pull things out of the nosedive for us? Have we forgotten two of the many warnings of our forefathers? Benjamin Franklin once said, "They who give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Thomas Jefferson once said, "Those who desire to give up freedom in order to gain security will not have, nor do they deserve, either one." Patriotism was born of men standing up for the greater common good. It was born from the ideals of protecting our people and creating a free nation where citizens were free to pursue their dreams as long as those dreams harmed no others. It was born from people realizing they needed to unite and stand together, regardless of their differences, lest the dreams and goals were lost. It was born from men willing to risk their lives for the freedoms we once enjoyed, and a desire to create a republic, not a democracy, as many think our nation was founded upon. Lamestream media, the elite, and those controlling the education of our children have hijacked this narrative too. If patriotism is about standing for the common good of all, promoting a free citizenry, and ensuring the equality of the citizenry as the preamble of our Declaration of Independent States, regardless of the cost to ourselves or the odds, then how is it about promoting the status quo that no longer seems to ensure any of these things? How is it about supporting a government that quite clearly bows to the needs of the corporatocracy instead of the needs of the people? How is it about supporting government that will not even stand between industries like big banking and genetically modified food or other industries to protect the citizens? How is it about remaining silent, complacent, and with heads in the sand while government continues shirking its duties to citizens and our nation? When neither political party stands for the people, but corporations instead, how is voting for either party patriotic by any means? Since when is safety voting for the lesser of two evils somehow patriotic, when patriotism is not about doing what's safe, but doing what's right for the many instead of benefiting only the few? When will we take back our narrative? When will patriots band together to remind people exactly what words like patriot, patriotism, and patriotic mean? When will people learn to reason and think such words out, to take back the true meaning of such words? When will we stop letting lamestream media, government, and the elite twist the meanings of such sacred words for their own benefit? Is patriot, patriotic, and patriotism, at least at their base, not standing for what one believes in no matter the cost? Have we as a people and nation lost our backbones? Did they somehow surgically remove them through the many means and forms of indoctrination we experience? How long will we continue allowing them to bastardize, corrupt, and twist such words, true meanings, and examples as set forth by our founding fathers? It is time to take back our nation and show government just who employ them, who they are accountable to, and who they are to represent. It's time to stop letting them hijack discussions, distort and twist the meanings of different groups. If we continue to allow this to happen, just like Malcolm X once warned, will happen. If we're not careful concerning media, it will have us loving those we should hate and hating those we should love. Take back the narrative, people. You know your vet's better than this. You know the true meaning now, and you've been reminded of what patriot is. Stop allowing their fear-mongering, trying to suggest that such people would in any way be a threat to you. I'm a vet myself, and I can guarantee you, the last place I'm going to be standing, if they keep their bullshit up, is with them. I guarantee you, I'm going to be standing with the rest of all you. Like many of the vets, I remember my oath. It did not die the day that I left military service. This is our country. It's largely been a free one. It's not so free anymore. And I'll be damned if I'm going to stand with them while they finish completely enslaving our people. Not while I draw breath. Your vets aren't the ones you have to worry about. The constitutionalists are not the ones you guys have to worry about. Patriots that know what it is aren't the ones you guys got to worry about. Not even the Christians, as zealot as they can be in some of the things that they do, they're still not the ones you need to worry about. The ones you need to worry about are the crooks in D.C. and their puppet masters, not those other groups. Think about it.